The story begins in a medieval world where a kind merchant called Banaza offers to pay some demi-human slaves for their work. The humans around him start judging Banaza for being so kind to an inferior race, and even the demi-humans hesitate to accept his payment. However, Banaza insists, and they leave after happily accepting the payment. Banaza then tells his friend that everyone deserves to be treated equally, but she reminds him that their racist world isn't going to accept his ideas so easily. Suddenly, Banaza's hands start glowing, and soon, his whole body gets enveloped in the glow and mysteriously teleported. Much to Quinn's shock, Banaza feels confused as he arrives on an altar surrounded by priests, and their leader welcomes him as a hero candidate for the kingdom of Clyrode. He explains that their world needs to summon heroes from other universes to fight the demon lord for them, and a maid places a testing device to measure Banaza's powers. However, she gets disappointed to see that he's a completely normal man, while Banaza thinks that this result was totally normal. Suddenly, a maid cries out in joy on another altar, announcing that they have summoned a legendary hero. Even Banaza's maid rushes over to the hero as the whole crowd erupts in joy and starts glazing him to unholy levels. Afterward, the king declares the hero to be their savior. While Banaza is completely left on his own, he wonders how to return home, but the king's mage tells him that there's no way to send him back, so he orders Banaza to live in the distant Delevza forest. After getting on the carriage for his journey, Banaza asks the demi-human driver if he's the king's slave, but he explains that in their world, demi-humans are treated equally to humans. Once they arrive at the forest, the lizardman gives Banaza a storage bag with some money and food, warning him that the peaceful-looking forest is actually filled with powerful dark soldiers. As the driver leaves, Banaza thanks him for the help before taking out a sword from his bag. He realizes that the king gave him a flimsy piece of trash to put him at a loss. Before noticing some slimes behind him, Banaza thinks it'll be an easy level 1 challenge, but the slimes suddenly attack him at Mach speed, and he luckily manages to clean them up. Banaza gets shocked to see that just one attack completely wrecked his sword. Suddenly, a voice tells him that he has leveled up, and shows him that his stats are infinite. Banaza fails to understand what the infinity symbol means and feels shocked as he suddenly starts learning a billion new spells. Then, the system detects that his storage bag is cursed with a monster attracting spell, so he removes it, realizing that the king wanted to turn him into monster food. He then starts heading into the forest, but the system tells him that the forest has many pockets of evil mana inside. It asks Banaza if it should remove the evil mana, and he nods, and a blinding light comes out and completely purifies 1,000 miles around them. Suddenly, the system interrupts his thoughts by announcing that he leveled up another billion times, leaving him completely flabbergasted. Meanwhile, back in the Clyrode castle, Princess Elizabeth protests against her father's cruel decision to send Banaza to the dangerous Delevza forest, which is basically the demon's headquarters. The king feels zero guilt for getting rid of innocent people he summoned himself, but suddenly, a messenger informs him that someone just used purification, which is the most powerful holy spell. The king grins smugly, thinking that his blonde hero has already learnt an incredible spell, but gets stunned when the guard reveals that the spell was used in Delevza. Back to Banaza, he wonders how he gained 300 levels by just using a magic spell, but shrugs it off as a completely normal occurrence in this new world. Then, Banaza decides to hide his real identity using a shapeshifting spell, which gives him a level 10 Jayat. He starts thinking that perhaps being a woman isn't so bad, but in the end, he fights his intrusive thoughts and turns back into a disguised man. Then, the system teleports him back to the royal capital, which gives him the idea to try teleporting to his home. The spell fails to work, so Banaza just smiles and decides to settle in the new world by becoming an adventurer. At the Adventurers Guild, the receptionist explains all the adventurer ranks to him. She asks for his name, but he chooses to hide his identity and registers under the name Fleo. After receiving his adventurer token, Fleo thinks about which quest to start with, and notices a young girl asking to be escorted to Delevza forest. Even after she tells them that her helpless family is in danger, the adventurers coldly dismiss her, refusing to risk their lives. Fleo feels bad for the girl and offers to teleport her there, and everyone around him thinks he's a lowly lover tricking an innocent girl with false promises. From their whispers, Fleo finally realizes that teleportation isn't some beginner magic. Then, Royal Knight Balirosa and her friends question him to explain what he is doing. He tells them that he has proof he can teleport and takes them to a quiet alley to show it. Fleo uses the spell and teleports the entire group outside the forest, leaving them all shocked, realizing that she falsely accused him. Balirasa quickly apologizes to Fleo along with her friends. Meanwhile, the little girl gets worried that all the evil mana has disappeared from the forest. Fleo tries telling her that he purified the forest, but the system stops him from exposing his secrets to a demon. He gets confused that the little girl is a demon, and suddenly, all the girls point their weapons at her, already knowing that she was tricking people to help her and consuming them for their power. The little girl stands there innocently, but suddenly, her face twists into a beastly grin, and she mocks everyone for thinking they're strong enough to face her. She reveals her true form, a gigantic demon wolf called Fenris, saying that she's the sister of one of the 4 strongest demons called the Infernal Four. The girls all sink to their knees from Fenris' pressure, but Fleo remains standing, much to her surprise. He protects the girls from her attacks and teleports them back to the castle, getting ready to face the demon lord head-on. Fenris charges at Fleo, but he easily avoids her attack before blocking the next one. He uses a tornado to trap her, before using a gravity spell to keep her bound to the ground. Fleo wonders how to defeat the demon without hurting anyone, and the system suggests enslaving her to control her thoughts. However, Fleo refuses to use slavery, wanting to keep the world safe from the evil concept. As Fenris keeps unsuccessfully trying to break out of the powerful gravity, the system keeps telling Fleo to enslave her, but he keeps refusing it until Fenris runs out of magic. She accepts her defeat and prepares to lose her life, but Fleo spares her. Fenris reminds him that she is the sworn enemy of all humans, but he tells her that he doesn't want revenge on someone who surrendered. She feels touched by his kindness and reverts to her human form, and Fleo quickly looks away from her before giving her some clothes. However, she faints from exhaustion before she can put them on, so Fleo carries her to a tent and heals her with his magic. As Fenris rests inside the tent, he wonders why he can use the strongest spells in the world. Soon, Fenris wakes up inside the tent and comes out after noticing that her body has completely healed. To thank Fleo for his kindness, she decides to never attack humans again and offers to become his servant. Fleo tells her that she doesn't need to go that far, but Fenris starts crying, saying that her life will become meaningless without her master. He completely folds at her cute acting and accepts her offer, but warns her that he's from another world. However, Fenris doesn't care where he's from and says that she'll continue serving him no matter what. Meanwhile, in the royal castle, the king gets angry at his fake hero for losing an entire troop of soldiers to level 1 demon grunts. The prince arrogantly defends himself, saying that his soldiers were too pathetic to fight a real monster, and leaves the hall. The king then asks a soldier about the hero's performance and learns that he actually ran away like a coward and blamed the soldiers for everything. Outside in the castle's corridors, the hero feels frustrated that he's too weak to fight real monsters even after so much training. His beautiful servant Suya interrupts his thoughts, and the prince leaves to waste all the king's money pampering her. The next day, as Fleo is walking with Fenris to the Adventurers Guild, a street vendor calls her Mrs. Fleo. She feels happy that people think they're married, and Fleo says that it's a good way to cover their true relationship. However, Fenris starts treating it like a real marriage, excited to have a husband as strong as him. They enter the Adventurers Guild together, where Fenris registers as an adventurer, blushing that she got a matching token with her husband. As the two of them wonder which quests to take, the receptionist announces that the kingdom has gone into emergency because of a horde of demon bears. She reveals that anyone can take on the quest to defeat the horde, but the adventurers feel uneasy since even the hero failed against it. Fleo also thinks that he's too weak to fight an army strong enough to defeat the hero, but Fenris tells him that the bears are too weak for them. She makes him teleport them both to the bear horde's location, and they notice an empty house reserved by the guild for adventurers. Both of them get ready to take out the bears, and they suddenly hear some terrified screams nearby. They head over to check out the scene, seeing some girls surrounded by demon bears. Fenris thinks that they should just ignore the weak humans, but Fleo recognizes that they're the royal knights, so he jumps in to help. He takes out a wave of bears with a lightning spell, while Fenris finishes off another one. The girls feel relieved at getting saved, feeling shocked that Fleo survived his fight against a demon lord. They ask who the cute girl with him is, and Fleo introduces Fenris as just a friend, which hurts her feelings. Suddenly, Another bear sneaks up on Fenris out of nowhere, and Fleo thinks that she'll get hurt. However, Fenris simply stares at the bear, and it gets terrified to the point of completely submitting to her. Both Fenris and Fleo decide to keep the calm bear as a pet, and Fleo transforms it into a small rabbit called Sybe, shocking the girls by how casually he's treating a demon. Afterward, the girls introduce themselves as Balriosa, Blossom, Bilary, and Bolano, and request that Fleo train them. Balriosa explains that after the king ordered all adventurers to become strong enough to support their hero, they tried training for the demon bears, but were still too weak to defeat a single one. Fleo hesitates, thinking that he has no experience teaching anyone, and Fenris gets jealous that the girls are trying to make a move on her man. He notices her anger and explains to the girls that Fenris is actually his wife, so they all get awkward and withdraw their request. However, Fenris feels satisfied that he announced their marriage in public and allows Fleo to train the girls, so he finally agrees to accept them as his students. Then, the night girls awkwardly ask Fleo if they can live in his house since the forest area is too dangerous for them. Fenris quickly agrees to take them in, saying she can save space for them by sleeping in the same bed with her blushing husband. The next day, Fleo takes out the girls to fight a demon beast, but they all just drop their weapons and run away, terrified for their lives. Fleo realizes that it's going to take them a while before they can face real monsters, so he rents a room where the girls can stay. The girls thank him for his gift, and Fenris calls them downstairs for dinner, but they get disappointed to see raw meat plated for them. Fleo starts cooking the meat with Balriosa, which confuses Fenris, who likes raw meat. After a little while, they prepare some delicious dishes, and Balriosa explains that she's from a poor noble family that can't afford to pay any cooks, so they just learned how to make their own food. Fenris's ego refuses to accept that cooked food is better than raw, but her pride gets shattered because it tastes like the most delicious thing she has ever eaten. She reluctantly tells the girls she'll cook the food next time, and they happily accept her offer. The next day, Fenris and Fleo surprise the Adventurers Guild with all the powerful beasts they slayed for loot. As everyone whispers about them, Fleo realizes that he should have been stealthier instead of just dumping the monsters in front of the guild in broad daylight. Then, Fenris asks Fleo if she can attend to some business before a guild staff member called Lilith calls him for an important talk. As Fenris leaves to secretly attend some cooking classes, Lilith takes Fleo to the guild room, where he praises him for his great achievements. He secretly regrets showing off by mistake so much, while Lilith requests him to join the kingdom and support the hero as his right-hand man. However, Fleo thinks about his peaceful life with Fenris and decides that it's not worth getting involved in a meaningless war, much to Lilith's shock. After refusing Lilith's offer, Fleo heads out of the Adventurers Guild, where he finds Fenris looking like she just came out of a war zone. He feels worried that she got beaten up by some demon beasts, while Fenris thinks back to her disastrous cooking class where she just blew up the whole kitchen. Meanwhile, in the royal castle, the hero receives news that someone powerful cleaned up the demon bears, so he gives an order to recruit that person as his right-hand man. Back at his house, Fleo refuses the kingdom's offer to join them and continues teaching his students. He watches as Blossom takes care of her farm, thinking she could go Super Saiyan if she put in the same effort into training. Meanwhile, Fenris tries getting Bilary to shoot a live target instead of a bullseye, but she finds it too hard to hurt a living creature. Fleo also gives Bolano a ring to enhance her mana, which she accepts, but Fenris creeps behind her, threatening to end her career if she puts it on her ring finger, while jealously keeping the girls at a distance from her husband. Fenris notices someone spying on them. Later, she cooks up an amazing dinner for everyone and reveals her secret cooking classes, saying that even though it felt impossible at first, she finally learned how to handle cooking materials, feeling happy that she can be useful other than for fighting. Fenris serves Fleo a special serving of curry. He enjoys her food, making her beam with joy, while outside their house, the spy called Ulimenes continues watching them. Ulimenes remains oblivious to Fenris's presence, and she suddenly appears behind her and takes her inside for questioning. Fleo pours out some tea for Ulimenes and learns that she's actually a servant of the demon lord. The Nico-human tells him that she was just in the area and happened to see them together. Fenris proudly tells Ulimenes that she is married to Fleo, who feels shocked that an ordinary guy tamed her. Ulimenes then asks what happened to the Delevza forest, and Fleo explains that he purified it with a spell, which shocks her. She asks Fenris if she knew that Fleo indirectly slew her brother Fengarel, who was also inside the forest. Fenris says that even if that were the case, her brother wouldn't want her to mourn his death. She tells the cat that she has decided to stay with Fleo because of his strength and kindness, and the girls peep out from a corner, feeling guilty for eavesdropping on their conversation. Meanwhile, Ulimenes thinks that both Fleo and Fenris are a threat to the demon lord, so she pretends to challenge Fleo to a friendly fight to wipe them out. They go outside to begin the match, and Ulimenes jumps up, unleashing a magic claw that swoops down on Fleo while also creating an attack from the ground. To her shock, Fleo easily dismisses both spells and strongly binds her limbs, completely helpless in his trap. She quickly gives up and leaves, and Fleo goes back inside with Fenris. He later tells the girls that he was hiding Fenris's identity to protect them from trouble, saying that they're free to report her to the castle now that they know. Belarosa speaks up, saying that she would never betray someone who helped her so much. The rest of the girls also agree to keep it a secret, but their wholesome moment gets ruined after Fenris feels a disturbance outside. When they go out to investigate, the girls feel horrified to see a horde of the demon lord's strongest dragons flying towards them with Ulimenes. Ulimenes thinks that she's got this in the bag, but Fleo just feels excited to see a dragon for the first time ever. He then gets to business and swats the dragons out of the sky like a bunch of flies, much to Ulimenes' disbelief. As the remaining dragons flee, Ulimenes gets left behind, and Fleo helps Blossom take out a dragon of her own with his assistance. Blossom feels happy to get a Dragon Slayer title for free, while Belarosa starts crying because the other dragons had already left. Watching this scene in a crystal ball, the demon lord Gaul gets up, ready to make a move against his dangerous new enemy. The next day, Fleo puts a barrier around his house to protect them from any demon spies. Fenris tells him that he was too kind to send Ulimenes back without any punishment, but Fleo is still feeling guilty that he accidentally slew her brother, Fengarel. She tells him that she doesn't care and happily clings to him to go home. Back at home, the night girls are still admiring Blossom's Dragon Slayer title. Belarosa excuses herself and leaves to train, secretly crying that she wanted the title too. She feels sad that she didn't get the chance to restore her family's noble status, but a man interrupts her thoughts, asking her for directions to an old friend's house. She asks the man who he's looking for, and after learning that it's Fenris, she points his sword at him, suspecting him to be a demon. The demon raises his hands in surrender, saying that he means no harm, and offers to leave after telling Balirosa to invite Fenris to visit him. Balirosa wonders why the man has such a weird name called Gozel, and Fleo and Fenris rush to check on her. Fenris rolls her eyes at the demon lord for using such an obvious fake name, while Balirosa starts sweating buckets because she just casually threatened the demon lord. Afterward, Fleo and Fenris invite Gaul into their house, and he feels surprised that Fleo is so calm. Gaul sees Balirosa inside the house and invites her to sit with him. Then, he angrily demands to know what Fleo did to his servant Ulimenes. Fenris asks Gaul if he wants to take revenge for Ulimenes, but he actually asks Fleo to join his dark army. Fleo refuses his offer, and Gaul wonders why he isn't fighting for either humans or demons. Fleo explains to him that he's from another world, so he won't involve himself in a war where he doesn't even know the reason for fighting. Gaul explains that their world has been at war for 500 years after the first demon lord arrived from another world. Because the demons were oppressed by humans, the demon lord led them to fight back, which created this unending war. However, Gaul thinks that the war is pointless and causing needless suffering, and Fleo feels surprised that a demon like him actually wants peace. Then, Gaul unleashes a threatening aura, declaring that he still won't risk it if someone as powerful as Fleo changes mind and suddenly joins the humans. Fleo calmly tells him that he's not going to fight, while Fenris calmly sips her tea, and Balirosa experiences 10 different heart attacks from the pressure. Gaul finally finally dispels his aura and laughs, realizing that Fleo is sincere about his word. He gets up to leave, saying that he'll be back to ask him again. Before leaving, he feels surprised that Ballyrosa kept up with his pressure despite being human. After he leaves, the girls check on poor Ballyrosa, who has simply accepted her fate. The next morning, Ballyrosa goes downstairs for breakfast, only to see Gal enjoying himself at the table. He invites her to join him, but she makes an excuse that her nightgown isn't an appropriate dress, and slips out of the room. Later, Ballyrosa tries sneaking out of the house, but finds Gal waiting for her at the door. After that day, Gal keeps visiting her, forcing her to run away every time. In the royal capital, some spies inform the king that a strange man is visiting Fleo's house, and he gets angry that Fleo betrayed him. However, the first princess points out that they don't have proof of Fleo working with the demons, so they should ask him about his goals before launching any attacks. However, their idiot hero suddenly walks in like a big hotshot, saying that he'll take an army there and force Fleo to join them. Back in the Demon Lord's palace, Uluminas asks Gal to stay behind since Fleo is too powerful, but he tells her that he's a trustworthy man who has shown him much more respect than the king. After saying that, there's still a chance he can recruit Fleo. Gal leaves the palace, but Uluminas wonders if that's really his true goal. Meanwhile, in Fleo's house, Fenris watches as he creates some equipment from dragon scales to start a weapons business. She reminds him that they can earn much more money by just working for the king, but Fleo tells her that he doesn't want to abuse his power and help someone that he's biased towards. Fenris praises her husband for being so kind and fair, but their loving moment gets interrupted by a knock on the door. They go outside to see the hero arrogantly demand that Fleo join him, threatening to cut him down otherwise. While the hero is thinking that Fleo will definitely join him after his Oscar-worthy performance and defeat the Demon Lord, Fleo tells him that he doesn't want to fight for either side. This angers the hero, who points his sword at him, saying that he's a traitor to the human race. All the night girls call him out for acting like a tyrant, but the hero threatens to arrest them if they don't help him defeat the traitor Fleo. Realizing there's no easy way out, Fleo decides to live somewhere else to protect the girls from any trouble, but Ballyrosa tells him that they want to stay with him. She says that the humans brainwashed her into thinking demons are evil, but in reality, they're just spreading hate, so she wants to stay with Fleo and Fenris, who are peaceful people. Seeing that all the girls want to stay with him, Fleo teleports everyone away, while the hero throws a tantrum at getting ignored. Soon, Gal arrives at the scene, thinking that the hero destroyed Ballyrosa's house. He gets furious that the stupid humans hurt his beloved and immediately orders all his demons to launch an attack on the Clyrode kingdom. Soon, the demon army starts breaking into Clyrode's defenses, quickly breaking through all of their northern defenses. The king wonders why his hero isn't doing anything, and his advisors suggest that they should call all their mages and use a purification spell since their hero is completely useless. Meanwhile, Gal predicts that the kingdom will use purification, so he orders all his troops to withdraw from the battlefield. The king's mages all gather together and cast a huge purification spell, which removes the dark mana surrounding their nation. Back at Fleo's house, Fenris asks him if he began his business in town, but he tells her that he's still testing the weapon market to decide a price for his own goods. Blossom also offers to sell her vegetables to provide income, and Bilary suggests raising their horses to contribute. Both Ballyrosa and Belano feel useless for being jobless, but Fenris says that she'll proudly support them as the pack's mama, and Fleo agrees, leaving them feeling guilty. In the kingdom, a mage informs the first princess that their purification spell will only last for 3 months, and she decides to take rule of the kingdom since her father is in a coma after using all his mana. For her first order, she declares that she'll kick out the worthless hero, and tells the mages to consult an oracle to figure out what they need to do next. Later, a guard tosses the hero out with his belongings, who pathetically screams that the kingdom will come running back for his help. Meanwhile, in Fleo's room, he tells Fenris that he's noticed how hard she has been working. She tells him that she'd do anything for him, and Fleo then thanks her for accepting the human girls into her house. He tells her that he's grateful for all her help, but Fenris falls asleep from exhaustion before he can finish speaking. He feels thankful to be living a peaceful life, knowing that he would have been lost in the new world without his wife. The next morning, the night girls tell Fleo to leave the house to them and enjoy a nice date with Fenris. Fenris approves of their idea, but Fleo still feels shy around her. They soon go out and enjoy their time as a couple, having lunch at a nice restaurant. After lunch, Bonanza tells Fenris that he wants to give her a gift as thanks, and she feels elated to receive his love. As they check out the street stalls, Fenris notices some nice jewelry, so Fleo buys a pretty brooch for her, which she wears with pride. Later at night, the girls watch Fenris as she gushes over her gift, feeling jealous that she's got such a nice husband. After they all go to their rooms, Fenris joins Fleo in his bed, leaving him sleepless from nervousness. Meanwhile, the hero fumbles around in the kingdom's treasury, trying to get a secret treasure that will help him defeat Fleo. As he feels jealous of Fleo's power, a voice whispers to him. The voice tells the hero to free it if he wants the strongest power in the world, and invites him to a secret room to pull out a sword from a rock. Suya feels worried to see the prince talking to the voices in his head, and he realizes that only he can hear them. Despite knowing it's a trap, the hero feels desperate for power and pulls out the mysterious sword. It creates a gust of wind that blows him back and summons a powerful djinn called Haya, who wields the power of light and darkness. Seeing that the hero released her, Haya offers to grant him 3 wishes as a reward, and he grins deviously, cooking up some evil ideas. Back in the royal castle, the princess summons the old oracle, but before she can say anything, some strange magic chains appear around everyone's necks. The princess orders her guards to check the treasury, while the oracle explains that a djinn has placed a curse to remove their heads in exchange for granting a wish. She reveals that the djinn can easily defeat the demon lord, but the kingdom had sealed her because she's too dangerous. Princess Elizabeth asks the oracle how to get rid of the curse, and she tells her to find the true hero, Fleo. Meanwhile, Fleo is selling his dragon equipment to a professional weapons dealer, who wonders if he's the person who sold a bunch of dragon meat recently. Fleo tells him that he just has some secret sources, and the dealer agrees to keep his secret, asking him to continue bringing him his rare loot. Fleo also asks the dealer to introduce him to someone he can sell his monster skins to, and he quickly agrees. Watching them from outside the shop's window, Ballyrosa feels jealous that Fleo is such a good businessman, and Fenris thinks that she wants to steal her man. She quickly reassures Fenris that she just wants a strong and reliable man, while Fenris reminds her that she can always go for the majestic demon Lord Gaul. Afterward, Fleo comes out of the shop, and they start heading back together. Fenris feels a bit sad that they'll have less time to spend together after Fleo starts his business, but suddenly, Haya appears behind them, intending to murder Fleo. Fenris rushes to protect him, but Haya's attack slices through her body, leaving her to fall in the shocked Fleo's arms. Haya tries attacking again, but Fleo blocks all her spells with his auto defenses while trying to heal Fenris. The system tells him that her injury is too deep to heal, and Fleo's heart stops, thinking that he has lost his wife forever. Meanwhile, Haya casts a powerful spell called Origin of Light, which creates a powerful explosion at Fleo's location. However, he remains unharmed, much to her shock, and the system learns how to use her spell. Holding his bloodied wife in his arms, Fleo remembers how much love she has given to him, even though he took her brother away from her. Furious that he failed to protect his love, he quietly gets up, swearing with ice-cold words to make Haya pay for what she has done. His system automatically rewinds Fenris's time back, reversing her wounds in front of the shocked djinn. Haya asks Fleo how he can use such an incredible spell, and he answers by punching her in the face. Haya feels insulted, but Fleo quietly walks up to her and kicks her into the ground, ordering her to keep her mouth shut. Haya tries to use a spell of darkness against him, but Fleo easily breaks through it and lifts her by the head. As he drives her into a wall, Haya realizes that Fleo has infinite stats, knowing she's doomed. Meanwhile, Fleo continues pummeling her without mercy, and each strike sends blood splashing around. Nearby, Fenris finally wakes up, surprised to see her body healed, and watches her husband breaking every single bone in Haya's body. Fenris feels proud that Fleo is so angry for her sake, but then remembers his kind nature on the day he spared her life. Fleo then grabs Haya's neck, preparing to finish her off, and she begs him to spare her life. He coldly refuses to forgive his wife's murderer, but when he hears Fenris's voice, Fleo's eyes finally soften. She begs him to let Haya go, reminding him that he never slays anyone who surrenders to him. Fleo drops the djinn and hugs his wife, crying tears of relief that she's still with him. Meanwhile, the princess teleports near Fleo's location, ready to ask for his help, but suddenly, everyone's cursed collars break apart, night. Back in the royal treasury, the hero and Tsuya huddle together in a locked room as the knights knock outside. Suddenly, a strange voice rings out, happy that Haya, who was holding her back, has failed in her mission. The voice takes control of Tsuya's body and introduces herself as Grand Magus Damalinas. Before transforming the hero into a gigantic beast, she climbs on the beast's back, ready to take revenge on all the nobles who sealed her. Back in town, Fleo heals all of Haya's injuries. She wakes up and immediately begs for forgiveness, and he tells her that everything is alright since his wife is fine. Fleo tells Haya that he inspected her memory to find out why she attacked him, and she gets shocked that he copied a spell that only she knows how to use in the entire world. He wonders how to deal with the troublesome Jin, and Fenris quickly suggests that they should make Haya his servant. He asks Fenris if she's okay with having her attacker around them, and she tells him that even though she's annoyed, she can only blame herself for being too weak. With Fenris's approval, Fleo agrees to forgive Haya and invites her to join him. Haya feels surprised since she thought that humans are evil creatures who never forget their hatred, but Fleo's kindness makes her accept his offer. She offers to become his servant completely, and Fleo apologizes for beating her. However, Haya quickly forgives him, secretly feeling turned on by how hard he abused her. Fenris quickly reads her freaky mind and gets angry, but Fleo wonders how to fix the damage their battle did to the town. He thinks about using the time rewind spell again, but Haya warns him not to use it too much. She explains that he has infinite stats and the ability to copy any spell he sees, but using time manipulation too much can cause some serious problems. Fleo nods and settles for using normal repair magic and returns home with the girls after fixing the town. Once they go home, the night girls feel terrified of Haya, and Balirosa takes her to her room. Later at night, Fleo sits alone, thinking about his incredible powers that allow him to even defeat mythical djinns. Balirosa walks into the room, and he tells her that he doesn't know how to use his powers. She tells him that it's a difficult question to answer, and even she is still figuring out why she is training to become stronger after the kingdom betrayed her. Afterward, Fleo goes back to his bedroom, where he finds Fenris sitting quietly. He asks her what's wrong, and she tells him that she's worried he'll go back to his previous world with the djinn's powerful magic. Fenris begs Fleo to take her with him, but he reassures her that he doesn't want to go back anyway because his old world is hostile to demihumans like her. Then, Fleo proposes to get married for real, saying that after all the time they have spent together, he has truly fallen in love with her, even though they were just pretending to be a couple. Fenris tells him that she always treated their marriage as real, and she's happy that she made that decision. As hearts throb with passion, the two of them lie together, and Fenris asks Fleo to stop hiding his true form. He tells her that he has built his life with her as Fleo, so he'll continue being in this form, and they get ready to spend a soulful night together. Suddenly, a nearby noise interrupts their passion, and they find Haya the pervert enjoying their steamy romance. Fenris asks her how much she has seen, and Haya proudly reveals that she was there from the start. Fleo tells her to give them privacy in the bedroom, but Haya argues that it's her duty to be with her master no matter what. As the entire house hears them screaming at Haya, she offers to turn invisible as long as she gets to watch, leaving the husband and wife completely embarrassed. The next day, Princess Elizabeth goes around town searching for Fleo, but doesn't find any clues about his location. Back at Fleo's house, everyone sits down for dinner, and the girls learn that Haya is doing all the housework. They all feel embarrassed that they're just living in Fleo's house as a bunch of jobless deadbeats, while Fleo wonders why they're feeling so down. Later, Blossom works hard in the fields, determined to prove her worth, while Bolano decides to make Fleo proud by getting stronger. Suddenly, a wild horse starts trampling on Blossom's field, and Bilary realizes that the horse is probably nervous because of Saib, the demon bear. After telling Saib to shrink into his rabbit form, she rides the horse and calms it down. Bilary then wonders if they can use all the open land around them to raise beasts, and Blossom tells her that they need to buy it from the local lord. Meanwhile, Fenris feels happy that she's going out with Fleo again, even though they're just going to sell some equipment. Fleo goes inside and gives the dealer some armor, while Fenris waits for him outside. Suddenly, the sky turns black as dark clouds rapidly fill it. Nearby, Elizabeth notices the dark sky as well, and a portal appears, which summons the monster hero. Fleo comes out of the shop, ready to protect the townsfolk, while Damalinus approaches the royal princess and blows her guards away. Haya Haya also appears in front of Fleo and informs him that the monster is actually a human transformed by the witch's magic. She explains that Damelinus actually used to be the strongest mage in Clyrode, but the kingdom sealed her after she dipped into dark magic. She then tells them that Damelinus was also sealed with her in the sword's pedestal, but the genius hero released both of them. Then, Haya asks Fleo for permission to wreck the monster, and he tells her to be careful and keep the townsfolk safe. Meanwhile, Damelinus taunts the cornered princess before her monster raises its foot to crush her. Suddenly, a blast blows the monster back, and Damelinus gets furious to see Haya protecting the princess. She asks why the djinn is going against her, and Haya tells her that she'll eliminate anyone who tries to get in her master's way. Damelinus taunts her for failing to even grant a simple wish and summons a powerful lightning to attack. However, Haya effortlessly blocks it, reminding Damelinus that no magic attack can harm her. Then, the witch tries to break Haya's defenses with both magic and physical attacks, but nothing works against her. Feeling desperate, she puts her hands on the ground and summons a fearsome demonic power, which strengthens her monster and triples its size. The monster begins rampaging around, but suddenly, it shrinks back to normal as Fleo rushes over to help. Haya apologizes for being too slow to slay the monster in time, and asks for permission to finish off Damelinus. Wondering how a human removed her spell, Damelinus panics. Then, Haya uses a dark spell that draws her soul out of Tsuya's body and seals her into a ball of yarn, which she eats. Fleo wonders if it's safe to consume evil spirits, and Haya tells him that she'll properly discipline Damelinus into becoming a submissive servant for him. Meanwhile, Fenris wonders what to do about the unconscious hero and Tsuya, and Fleo tells her to let the royal castle handle them. Princess Elizabeth approaches Fleo and bows, thanking him for protecting her kingdom. She apologizes to Fleo for all the disrespect her father's idiot hero showed him, and tells him that she removed him from his position. She then asks Fleo if he would like to become the hero, but he refuses, saying that he won't always want to use his power for humanity's sake. He leaves after telling Elizabeth that he just wants to retire peacefully and continue living with his wife. Later, after Fleo returns home, the girls ask him if they can buy more land to expand their business. Bilary offers to raise magic beasts in new stables, while Blossom thinks about expanding her farm, which would help Fleo live without having to work. Fenris wonders if they can tame magic beasts so easily, and Bilary feels confident that she can do it with enough resources. Fleo tells her that he'll buy more land from the owner, and shows them how much it will cost. The girls instantly deflate, realizing that they're too broke to even buy a single inch of land. Fleo offers to buy it for them, but they feel guilty about using his money, so he tells them that they can just give him a share of their profits to pay him off. The girls finally accept his offer and get to work, and Fleo tells Blossom that she can try growing off-season crops with his magic. She refuses to keep depending on him, so Haya offers to help. However, Blossom refuses, saying that crops can only be raised with lots of love and time. But Bellona asks Haya to show her how magic can be used for agriculture. Blossom notices that she's wearing a strange uniform, so Bellona tells her that she joined a magic academy as a teacher. She thanks Fleo for teaching her everything she knows, but he reminds her to be proud of all the learning and practice she did herself. Bellona nods before telling Blossom that magic can also be used in everyday life, and Fleo says that she can just experiment with magic on a smaller portion of land before using it on the rest. Blossom finally agrees to use Haya's help, and she gets to work with her, watching everyone contribute positively. Ballyrosa feels left out, while Fleo feels happy that all the girls have found their paths. He tells Fenris that he wants to open his own shop one day, and she promises to support him with everything she has. Fenris tells Fleo that he can rely on her for anything, and he gives her a matching wedding ring with a beautiful gem. As he puts the ring on her finger, Fenris feels overwhelmed with joy and hugs her husband. Meanwhile, in the Clyrode prison, the idiot hero waits in a jail cell, hopelessly awaiting his execution. In a nearby cell, Tsuya cries as she awaits her punishment, while the prince screams out, refusing to accept his fate. The next day, Ballyrosa finds herself wearing a wedding dress in her dream. Suddenly, Gaul comes up to her as the groom and tells her they're getting married. While the demons around around them cheer. Gaul offers to take over the world for Balirosa's wedding gift, which she quickly refuses. But when he leans in for a big smooch, she finally wakes up from the horrible nightmare. Balirosa feels relieved, but wakes up the entire house, screaming that she doesn't want to have feelings for Gaul. The next morning, Balirosa is cooking with Fenris, who asks her why she looks unwell. Balirosa tells her that she had a nightmare, and Fenris wonders if she's been dreaming about her secret crush. As Balirosa blushes furiously, the other girls use instant transmission to come hear their gossip, wondering if she has fallen for Gaul. Balirosa thinks that there's no way Gaul could love her after she threatened him, but the girls remind her that he always kept visiting their house just to see her. Then, they ask Fenris how she fell in love with Fleo as well, and she tells them that she was drawn to his kindness. Fenris reveals that at first, she thought that Fleo was just an innocent guy, so she wanted to protect him. However, after spending some time with him, Fenris just accepted being kind like him. Behind them, Fleo interrupts their gossip by clearing his throat, but suddenly, his system alerts him that some demons have appeared outside their barrier. Fleo decides to check if the towns are safe, while outside the barrier, one of Gaul's spies watches silently. Meanwhile, in the royal castle, an advisor informs Elizabeth that Fleo paid them for the town repairs using special coins that were only given out by the royal castle itself. She wonders who could have their special currency, and the advisor reminds her that the kingdom once gave some coins to a failed hero named Banaza before kicking him out to the forest. The advisor suspects that Banaza might be disguising himself as Fleo. The princess then realizes her father's mistake and wonders how to apologize to Fleo. But suddenly, a messenger informs her that the hero and Suya escaped their prison. She tells him to begin a search, while regretting her kingdom's decision to support the blonde goofball over the true hero. Outside the castle, the hero and Suya panic while hiding from the guards. The hero thinks that he doesn't deserve to be punished, but Suya reminds him that he stole a storage pouch from the treasury while escaping. After saying that he deserves some money because the kingdom promised to pay him for his services, he opens the pouch. To his shock, it just contains a chest with some farming tools, and the guards quickly catch up to him. However, once the guards reach their hiding spot, they find it empty and leave the area. Meanwhile, the hero and Suya feel happy that the magic tool made a giant hole for them to hide, but wonder how they're going to get out. Back at the Demon Lord's castle, Gaul asks Ulaminas if she has found Fleo yet. She tells him that he's nowhere to be seen and says that it's possible he left the country. However, Gaul points out that teleportation can only take a person to a place they have already visited, so Fleo couldn't have gone to another country in such a short time. Ulaminas thinks that they should attack and defeat the Clyrode kingdom instead of searching for Fleo, but Gaul reminds her that Fleo could just undo all their efforts by using purification on them. She points out that the other demons won't agree to stop the war, and Gaul pats her head, saying he doesn't want to sacrifice his demons for a pointless fight. While outside the room, a spying demon smiles. The spy tells Gaul's brother Uegard about his plans, and he gets furious that his brother is acting so cowardly. Uegard stamps his foot in anger, which sends his assistant flying to the ground in pleasure. She reminds him that Fleo has the power of a real hero, but Uegard knocks her down again. While the demon enjoys getting abused, Uegard declares that he'll take the throne from his brother and launch an attack as the demon race's true leader. Back in town, Fleo and Fenris enjoy a date together as they make sure every place is safe. However, they run into an old lady who is closing down her store, saying that after the war, her supplies dealer lost his shop, so she has no choice but to quit. Fenris feels sad that so many people were hurt by the fighting, but Fleo reminds her that new stores are opening up, showing that humans always bounce back after their losses. Later, Balirosa finds the two of them and offers to treat them to lunch. Fenris feels upset that she's interrupting their date, but accepts her generous treat. Balirosa explains that she got promoted as an adventurer and wants to thank them for all their support before they can leave. Though, Haya flies over and informs Fleo that a very powerful person is coming over. She gets ready to defend him, but Fenris stops her as Gaul walks over to them. They all head to a restaurant to eat together, and Gaul feels happy to meet Balirosa again. She feels nervous, thinking that her weird dreams were true, but Gaul tells them that he likes to visit human cities to experience their culture while spying on the enemy. This upsets Balirosa, who asks him if he wants to fight humans even after seeing that they're just trying to live peacefully. Gaul nods without shame, reminding her that that the humans also see his race as a threat for just existing, and she quiets down. Fleo tells Gaul that Fenris is pretty easy to live with despite being a demon, and Gaul reveals that only a few demons can control their dark mana. Haya also adds that if too many demons release their dark mana in an area, it infects and hurts the humans around them, which is why they can't live together. Gaul nods, saying that his species is also a bit hot-blooded, so they start fighting over the smallest issues. He gets up and leaves, while everyone is left silent and worried at the table. As they all walk home, Fleo feels gloomy that demons and humans are separated so forcefully in their world, and hugs his wife, feeling grateful that he can be with her. Meanwhile, back in the hole, Tsuya struggles to climb up to the top. She finally reaches the surface, but while she struggles to pull herself up, the hero below her gets distracted by her curvy figure and falls down after losing his grip. The next day, the Fleo's family enjoys a nice steak cooked by Fenris, who thanks them for all their praise. Fenris reveals that she recently met her cooking teacher to thank her for helping her win her husband's heart. As Fenris thinks about learning dishes for their future kids, just then, someone knocks at their door. He goes out with Fenris and finds Elizabeth standing outside. She addresses him by his real name, Banaza, and apologizes to him for her father kicking him out. Fleo invites her in for some tea, and she comes inside, but asks everyone else to leave so she can speak to him in private. Fenris gets upset, saying that she doesn't trust the kingdom after what they've done to her husband, and Fleo tells Elizabeth that he can't talk to her without his wife. Elizabeth sighs, but agrees to let Fenris stay with them, before apologizing again for everything the kingdom has done to him. Fleo forgives her, but asks if she really came all this way just to say sorry. Elizabeth smiles that he figured her out, and gives him a magic map, which shows the location of all her troops. Fleo feels surprised that she's giving him top secret information, and Elizabeth informs him that their purification spell is soon going to run out, and the kingdom cannot defend every area. She asks him to protect the undefended areas, and Fenris gets upset that she's still trying to involve her husband in the war. Elizabeth then explains that she's taking all these actions because the real king is in a coma, so she can make him surrender the throne by holding him accountable for appointing a spineless weakling as the hero. Elizabeth says that with Fleo's help to overthrow the king, and Fenris gets furious that she's still trying to use him. Fleo calms her down, saying that the princess just wants a guarantee from him that he won't help the demons in the war. The princess nods, saying that she's giving him their empire's secret information as a show of trust, and requests Fleo to help her protect the undefended areas without involving himself with the rest of the war. Meanwhile, somewhere in town, the hero and Tsuya are still on the run from the kingdom. The hero wonders why Tsuya is following a criminal like him, but she reminds him that he saved her from prison and brought her along even though she was just a burden to him. As the embarrassed hero fails to admit his feelings, suddenly, a random spider shoots out a web that traps both of them, and a demon comes out to kidnap them. Later in Fleo's room, Fenris joins him in bed as he thinks about accepting Elizabeth's request. He tells her that even though he hates fighting, he can't just leave innocent people undefended, and wants to create a world someday where humans and demons can live in harmony together. Fenris holds his hand, promising to support him no matter what. The next day, people start evacuating a nearby town as the demon army begins its attack. A little girl is gathering some fruits in a forest outside when some demons jump to attack her, but luckily, Fleo and Fenris save her while disguised. Fenris feels upset that Fleo is doing so much work for free, while the demons get angry that she is betraying their race to help humans. Suddenly, a giant cyclops walks in and mocks Fenris, saying that her race is full of pathetic weaklings like her brother, who lost to a human. She gets angry and gets ready to fight the one-eyed meathead. Offended that he's unfairly mocking her face, Fleo allows her to fight, and Fenris steps out as the cyclops misses her with his club. Fenris runs circles around him, biting chunks out of his flesh, and the cyclops mocks her for her weak attacks. She tells him to be grateful that she isn't outright murking him, before jumping into the air and swapping their positions with a magic spell. The cyclops throws his club at her like a boomerang, so Fenris simply swaps their positions again, and the club smashes the cyclops' head. She then pins him down by nailing some trees into his wounds, leaving him completely defeated and restrained. The cyclops asks his underlings to help him, but Fleo easily restrains them. He then heals the cyclops and tells him to go back, but the demon feels surprised that he he's sparing his life. Fleo explains that he just wants to avoid fighting, but if the demons keep coming back, he'll fold them into submission. The demons finally get scared of him and leave, and Fenris feels happy that all the time Fleo practicing to act tough paid off. She wonders why he didn't just torture them so they'd give up for good, but he reminds her that it would have just caused them to hate humans even more. Then, some people come out of hiding and thank Fleo for his help, but ask why he has a demon wolf with him. Fleo explains that she's just his partner, and the little girl they protected also comes out to say thanks. He then explains that they're protecting the towns on Princess Elizabeth's orders, and the people calm down as he leaves. Meanwhile, in the royal castle, a messenger reports to the princess that an unknown adventurer has been protecting towns from the demons while saying he's working for her. She feels happy that Fleo accepted her request, and her advisor tells the messenger to announce that everyone in the kingdom should cooperate with this adventurer. Back to Fleo and Fenris, Gaul watches them drive off some more demons. Feeling furious that his brother is sending troops to attack without his permission, he then receives a message from Ulaminas that back at the castle, Uegard has already taken over the throne with his partner's help. In the demon castle, Uegard's assistant gives him the hero and Suya, saying that they can sacrifice them to an evil being to get the power to defeat Gaul. As Gaul flies back to the castle, his brother smiles, ready to betray him and take everything. The next day, Gaul asks Fleo to let him and Ulaminas stay in his house, revealing that he is now homeless. He explains that recently, he received news from his spy that Uegard was planning to overthrow him and become the demon lord. He recalls that back at the castle, Ulaminas asked the Infernal Four if they were okay with replacing Gaul, but they told her that they were just trying to give their king a wake-up call. They tell her that even though they're loyal to the king, his passive and suspicious actions are creating unrest in the demons, so he needs to come back and show his power. Afterward, they all enter the throne room, where they find Uegard sitting on the throne. The Infernal Four feel upset by his arrogance, but Uegard's assistant Fufun tells them not to interfere with their duel once Gaul arrives. Ulaminas is unable to contain her anger and jumps to attack Uegard, but he easily shrugs off her attack and blows her into the door. Finally, Gaul arrives for the showdown and sends his spy to take care of Ulaminas while he confronts Uegard. Gaul approaches his brother, who challenges him to a duel, saying that he has made some bad decisions as the ruler. He asks Uegard what bad decisions he made, and he replies that because of his cowardly attitude, Gaul has made all the demons suspect that he's siding with the humans. Gaul asks the Infernal Four if they agree with Uegard, and they all remain silent, so he unleashes his power and gets ready to fight. Everyone gets excited to see an epic battle, but to their shock, Gaul just takes off his demon ring and announces that he's giving up the throne to Uegard. As he begins to leave, Uegard gets angry, thinking that he's mocking him, and charges at Gaul. However, he sends him flying back with just a single kick that sends him crashing through multiple walls and outside the castle like a piece of trash. Then, Gaul casually leaves the stunned audience, while the hero and Suya wonder if they're saved. After Gaul completes the story, Fleo tells him that he needs the girl's permission before letting him stay. Just then, Balyrosa comes in, and her soul almost ascends to heaven when Gaul asks her if he can live in her house. Afterward, all the night girls gather up, and Gaul explains that he's no longer the demon lord. Fenris wonders why Gaul doesn't have the money to get his own place, so Ulaminas reveals that he gave all their money to the demons who were loyal to him and left the Dark Army. She feels angry that Gaul is so soft, but he tells her that he's not going to change his ways just to get support. Then, Fleo asks the girls if they don't mind letting Gaul stay, and all the girls agree to it except Balyrosa. Fenris asks Balyrosa if she wants her to kick her former boss and colleague out, while Fleo feels embarrassed by her manipulation tactics. Realizing she's outvoted by literally everyone, Balyrosa gets forced to accept, and Fenris feels happy to expand her pack with yet another powerful member. As Gaul starts living with the Fleo family, he tries helping Blossom with her farm, but she gets scared and tells him to leave. He then tries helping Bylary with her magical beasts, but his aura just causes them to go wild. After failing to become friends with the girls, Gaul visits Fleo in his armory, surprised to see that he has created very powerful equipment with demonic electronic materials. As both of them discuss the equipment's properties, Uluminas watches them from the side, thinking that Gaul seems even happier with humans than he was with demons. Standing with her, Fenris notices Balirosa watching, but she runs away after getting spotted. At night, as everyone enjoys dinner together, Balirosa watches them from a distance. After they all go to sleep, she stands outside watching the stars, and Fenris calls out to her. She offers Balirosa some tea and cookies with Fleo, who tells her that they're worried about how she's coping with Gaul living in their house. Balirosa tells him that she doesn't mind, but it surprised her when the girls agreed to it so quickly. She says that even though Gaul is a good man who doesn't hurt others, she has still lost many of her friends to demon attacks, so she can never accept living with them. Fleo tells her that it's okay to feel resentment for the demons, and she doesn't have to force herself to be friends with Gaul. Then, Fenris asks her why she accepted living with her, even though she is also a demon wolf. Fenris also reveals that at first, she wanted to feed all the girls to the demon army, and Balirosa gets an existential crisis over her own double standards. Then, Fenris reminds her that she also contributed to their house by teaching her how to cook, and Balirosa smiles, feeling better after her encouragement. The next morning, Balirosa warns Gaul and Uluminas not to try anything funny, and Uluminas mocks her for being too weak to hurt them anyway. Balirosa reminds the cat that she also miserably failed to defeat Fleo, while Gaul laughs and offers to shake her hand, thanking her for accepting them into her house. She tells him that she'll shake hands after she's sure she can trust him. Before leaving with Saib to go hunting somewhere else, the failed hero and Suyur run back to town with a bunch of stolen money while a black fog chases them. Back in the demon castle, Uegard feels frustrated because the Clyrode army keeps defeating his demons. Fufun tells him that the humans are now trapping their attack routes in advance, and he wonders how the humans got so smart. He punches Fufun away after telling her to gather his army for an all-out attack. Before leaving the room, behind him, the Infernal Four whisper together, mocking their dumb king for attacking without any strategy. However, Fufun reappears in the room and announces that she's got a plan to boost their morale with a social gathering. Meanwhile, Fenris wins a vacation ticket to a hot springs resort in a lottery. She feels excited to have a romantic getaway with Fleo, but gets disappointed after finding out that they can actually bring all their friends as well. Afterward, the entire family heads over to the resort, and Fenris cheers up after learning that one of the hot springs is supposed to boost fertility. Once they get inside, she sneakily asks an attendant about the fertility spring and quietly heads over to check it out. Elsewhere inside the changing rooms, Blossom gets terrified after bumping into Uegard. Fufun calms him down and sends her away, reminding her master that they're trying to avoid a fight. Watching them from a distance, Fenris warns Gaul to stay away from Uegard in case they start fighting and ruin her vacation. Afterward, everyone heads to their shared room, where Fenris proudly announces that she has a separate room with Fleo. Everyone then starts looking at all the different experiences at the resort. While Fenris thinks about taking her husband away for baby making, Haya gets excited to see some action, but Fenris murderously warns her to stay away from them at all times. Then, after deciding where they all want to go, everyone leaves after agreeing to make again for dinner. Meanwhile, Haya visits her soul's inner realm, where she finds the trapped Amelinas, who asks what she wants. Haya tells her that she wants to do some special training with her after getting inspired by Fenris and Fleo's bedroom activities. As she puts Damelinas on a mattress, Haya gets on top, and the flustered witch reminds her that they're both women. However, Haya reveals to her that as a magical djinn, she can become any gender she wants, and it traumatizes Damelinas so much that she kicks her out of her own mental world. Somewhere else in a hot spring, Fenris and Fleo sit on opposite sides of the walls. Fleo enjoys the relaxing feeling and asks Fenris if she'd like to go on a romantic honeymoon with him sometime. She agrees, feeling thirsty for some action, and Fleo quickly leaves the bath as he gets embarrassed. Elsewhere in the resort, Bilary secretly tries visiting a museum for special adult toys, and Haya the pervert quickly finds her. Despite Bilary's hesitation, Haya drags her inside the museum, eager for naughtiness. At the same time, Bolano and the other girls are having lunch with Gaul and Uluminas. Blossom teases Balirosa for staring at Gaul, who compliments her dress. Uluminas gets jealous, but Gaul fails to notice her feelings and leaves to get drinks. Somewhere else in the resort, Uegard and his team are also enjoying human food while pretending that it tastes awful. Uegard tells his uses demons to provide some entertainment. So Fufun gets up and starts dancing like a drunk old fart. Uegard knocks her out for the dumb dance. So 2 other demons get up and start slapping each other like it's some 40s Looney Tunes comedy. Both of them fail to notice as one of their magic suppressing earrings falls off, releasing evil mana into the air. Meanwhile, the idiot hero arrives outside the resort, and Suya asks him to let her enjoy the hot springs. He grins smugly and takes out a demon crystal from his pouch, saying he can sell it for the money to pay for their vacation. However, the crystal absorbs the evil mana in the air and enhances the power of the 2 fighting demons, which starts destroying the resort around them. Suya notices the 2 brain-dead demons fighting each other, while the crystal binds itself to the hero, using the evil mana from the demons to transform him into a dark beast. The beast starts destroying the entire resort around them, but Fleo stops the entire building from falling apart. He tells Fenris to go check out the scene, while Uluminas explains that the monster was created by a dark gem that went out of control because it was used by a human. As the girls start leaving to stop the beast, Gaul reminds them that Fleo can easily handle it. However, they get upset and leave anyway, unwilling to dump all the burden on Fleo. Gaul feels inspired by their courage and decides to take Uluminas with him to help as well. After Gaul gets close to the monster, Uegard spots him and jumps out, ready for a rematch. Uegard fires dark blasts at Gaul, which he easily blocks, so he then uses the dark beast to shoot a powerful beam at him. Gaul blocks it just as easily as before, leaving his brother frustrated. Meanwhile, Balirosa informs Fleo that a dark beast is attacking the resort. She tells him that Gaul was talking to some suspicious individuals earlier, so it's possible that he teamed up with Uegard to launch the attack. However, Fleo tells her there's no way Gaul would do such a thing and trusts him to handle Uegard. Somehow, the dark beast captures Gaul with tentacles, so Gaul moves his body and flips it around into the building. As Gaul is having trouble with the gem's powerful magic, Fenris decides to separate the humans from the gem. She teleports above the gem and punches the hero out of it, which dispels the dark monster and causes Tsuya to fall from the great height, but Gaul protects her. Afterward, Uegard gets ready to fight Gaul again. Downstairs, Uluminas asks Uegard's party why they're causing such a scene, but the Infernal Four tell her that they were just enjoying the vacation and have nothing to do with the 2 brothers. Fufun gets angry at Uluminas and attacks her with her spider, but the cat jumps at her in fury. On the roof, Gaul easily blocks all of Uegard's strikes before returning his attacks with a magic spell. Uegard continues attacking him anyway, angry that his powerful brother is now defending his attacks so passively. Finally getting serious, Gaul grabs Uegard's mouth and seals all his mana. Gaul tells him that he learnt the spell from humans to defeat the previous demon lord, saying that their demon race has always pushed the humans too far. Uegard feels betrayed that his brother used human techniques. While downstairs, the resort staff all combine their magic and seal him with the rest of his team. Angry that they damaged their resort, the owner banishes them all back to the demon realm in front of everyone. Meanwhile, as Fenris uses the hero's face as a drum for ruining her vacation, Balirosa tells her to get away from the building so Fleo can repair it with magic. After the magical repairs, the Fleo family gets to cleaning up the resort and fixing it up in no time, pleasing the owner. As thanks, she tells everyone that they're free to enjoy her resort as much as they want. Afterward, the girls all tease each other in the hot springs while Fleo enjoys some quiet time with Gaul. Gaul admires him for not using his powers selfishly, saying that with his support, they can stop the pointless war between the humans and demons. Fleo tells him that even though he has ungodly powers, he still doesn't have a quick solution for fixing all their conflicts. However, he feels hopeful that with the support of his friends and wife, they can slowly move toward a solution, and Gaul agrees to support him on this journey. After bath time, everyone gets excited to have a free buffet from the owner, while an attendant secretly gives Fenris some food to boost her loving power. Meanwhile, Balirosa thanks Gaul for protecting the humans, and Uluminas gets jealous that she's trying to flirt with him. After a good dinner, they all head to bed, and later at night, Fenris goes outside to sit with Fleo, who asks her what she thinks about humans. Fenris tells him that although humans are weak, their lives are filled with purposes other than just fighting. She recalls how easily Balirosa defeated her with her cooking, saying that after spending so much time with humans, she has grown to respect and love them. Fenris wonders why Fleo wants to know this, and he responds that if the fighting between between humans and demons gets worse, he'll need her help to protect the innocent people. He hugs her close, saying that with her help, he'll always keep a balance and fairly help both sides, and Fenris agrees to support him in whatever he wants. Then, she hugs him closer, saying that she wants to make a better world for their future child, and the two of them share a passionate night. Later in the morning, the Bilary and Blossom notice how cheerful Fenris is and try to ignore what happened. Gaul feels oblivious, but Uluminous silences him, and they all teleport back home. Soon, life goes back to normal, with Bolano beginning her teaching career, Blossom growing her veggies with Haya, and Fleo working on his equipment with Gaul. As Balirasa gets back to them from her hunt, Uluminous gets protective of Gaul, so she changes the subject and asks about Princess Elizabeth's crowning ceremony. Fleo thinks that the towns must be full of life for their new queen, but Balirasa feels worried that the demons might attack. However, Gaul tells her that it will take Uegard some time before he can recover his mana. Back in the royal capital, Elizabeth finishes her coronation and asks her advisor where her father is. Knowing that her father ran away after getting exposed for his evil deeds, Elizabeth feels determined to make up for his failures. Meanwhile, the idiot hero is hiding in another hole with Tsuya, who feels tired of running all the time. He tries to delude her that one day, he'll become the hero again, so she should cheer up. Back at Baron's house, Fenris calls everyone inside for dinner, and he feels happy that he has made so many new friends in this world. He approaches Fenris and suggests that if they open a shop one day, they can include her cooking and the farm's goods. Fenris agrees to help him open his dream shop, and they head inside together. This was the end. Subscribe to not miss more recaps and watch the next video on screen.